Welcome back. This is episode 81 of the UNSECURITY podcast. I'm your host this week, Brad Nye. Today is May 26th, and joining me this morning, as usual, is Evan Francine. Morning, Evan.
Good morning, Brad.
How are you doing?
Good.
Did you go and I saw a couple pictures from your camping, got out over the long weekend and got away a little bit?
Are we Facebook friends?
No, I don't have Facebook, but our wives are.
Okay, so your wife saw it. Yeah, I haven't seen what was posted. It's hard enough to figure out what day today is. So then you get another day off, I think. And me, I'm an idiot, right? So we get back from this weekend, and then yesterday afternoon we got back, and I took a nap, and I slept until 5 in the afternoon, and then I woke up with like all this energy. So I get up, I put the camper away, started a campfire, not a campfire, like I don't know, whatever you call it when it's at your house.
Bonfire.
Yeah, and then killed a whole bunch of ants, like a billion ants. That was fun. Then I decided I was going to rip the fascia off of, below a bay window, because we're going to put a sliding door there. And then tore out a baseboard heater. This is all at like 9 o'clock at night yesterday.
That's funny. I've done the exact same, where you just get this random, energy or whatever and go.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great weekend, but man, that was dumb yesterday. So my wife is like, "You're not going to bed tonight, are you?"
You had to get out the energy so you could go to bed.
Yeah, I did get a little bit of sleep.
That's
So
good.
you made some badass ribs. I saw that.
I did. I'll have to send that out on Twitter. And yeah, I got some painting done in the house when it was raining. We put we got lavender for my wife for Mother's Day. Yep, those are my ribs. They were so good. But yeah, I'm planting. We have like a little garden running alongside the house. It's like 3 feet wide or whatever. So doing like lavender plants along the whole side of it, because she likes it. So why not? So got that done, and a bunch of other just landscaping and mowed the yard and just unplugged.
That's cool.
It's good
Yeah,
to
you
do.
said, in your show notes that I always have some sort of story. So that was part of it. And then we went to Wisconsin this weekend, which is much more open than Minnesota. They had their campgrounds open, so we decided to take the RV over there. And I had dinner in a restaurant.
Wow.
I know. It's like the first time in like 2.5 months. That was weird.
Well, I came by. When did I come by? Was it Friday? It was Friday,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's when things are all blurring together. Yeah, I stopped by the office, and first time I'd seen any of the people there in person since, in 2 months, March 17th, basically.
Yeah. You had only been in the office like when nobody was here once or
Yep,
twice.
I came in one time to pick up some stuff, and that was it. So it was cool to see everyone. It's kind of weird, but definitely it makes you realize how much you miss the energy, and how good it is to just be able to pop in and collaborate with someone. So it's just very different online,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So last week, what did you do work wise? Anything fun or exciting?
It was all fun. It was all exciting. Everything I do is very, very exciting.
As you quickly look at your calendar to remember, because we had
That's exactly what I'm doing right
nobody knows what's happening anymore.
now. Like, oh yeah, I did that meeting. Yeah, a whole bunch of meetings, it looks like. It was a it was a great week last week. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. I almost said a bad word. Uh, yeah, the security shit show was good on Thursday night. We went an hour and 42 minutes, so that was super long. Got some insurance plays, so some information security risk stuff with a new insurance company called Cowbell
Mm-hmm.
Cyber. That was really cool. Oh crap! I gave a talk last week too. It's weird because I'm not much of a business person. I didn't think, but I've been asked the last twice the last 2 weeks to give business leadership talks. That's weird.
I don't know, maybe because you're not the quote unquote traditional CEO, right? It's a different take on things.
Definitely not the traditional CEO. That is 100% true. They do not look like this.
Nah.
No, good. It was a good week though, man. A lot of stuff got done. This week's gonna be a short week. I'm taking off on Friday afternoon on a motorcycle ride with my wife,
Nice.
my buddy and his wife, and we'll go ride for. We're spending the weekend in a town called Lanesboro.
I have no idea where that is.
It's a small town southeast Minnesota.
Okay. That'll be good. It's supposed to be gorgeous on Friday, so that'll be good.
Yeah, and I need some riding, so that'll be awesome. How about you? How was your week?
It's good. We started our internal annual risk assessment of ourselves. And
Okay.
that's always fun because we try to have it's an opportunity to have maybe a new person, or in this, last year we had Pinky do it. It was his like third week here, and we're like, let's just see how it goes. But it's great training for them. This year we have one of our associates, Victoria, doing it. So she just passed her CSSP earlier this year. I don't even remember when. But it's always fun because it's it's a little bit of pressure to see how they perform,
Yeah.
doing the assessment on the people that are, training it and all that. But it's a really good opportunity for them to also be like, all right, time out. I'm going to take off the assessor hat. I'm not sure how to ask this, or what am I looking for here? And so just being able to kind of give them some advice on, what to do, how to do this correctly. And it's kind of cool to see how they think about it and do it, approach it.
Sure.
Um,
What is our S2 score? Can we say it?
I don't know yet. We're not done.
What was it last time?
Um,
That put you on the spot right there.
I don't remember. 680, 685, right in that range, I think.
All right. And I'm guessing we probably score ourselves harder than most. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of, yeah, no, we don't have that documented, but we know what to do because that's what we do.
Right.
Um, I think our score this year will be much higher. We had just hired our first full-time IT person in like February last year and did the assessment in March. So like a lot of the formal documentation around some of that stuff from the IT perspective wasn't there that we now have, right? So, it's one of those things. There's different expectations at a kind of a 50-person company or a 40-person company than a 70 or 100-person company, right? And I think we'll see those mature and move forward. Well, I think our score will be over 700 this year, or pretty close to it.
When's it supposed to be done?
I think we should be about done with interviews, I think this week. And then it'll just be the scanning.
Okay.
Which is another interesting thing with everyone being remote for internal scanning.
Right. Who and then when we'll get the results shortly after that, I'm guessing the executive team? Okay.
Probably I would say the 26th. Probably mid-June, we'll have everything buttoned up.
Because we complain a lot about CEOs who aren't involved in information security. I want to be one of those CEOs who actually wants to know the score.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Let's set the example.
for sure. Yeah, I think the
Right.
biggest piece we had was I know our biggest areas, we were working on like the business impact analysis for our BCPs and all that and updating that. And I think we had like two more sessions to go and then coronavirus hit, right? So everybody's remote, that threw everything off. So we did get that done before the assessments. I know we'll get hit on that, but I mean, we've got probably 85% of that completed. So
Good.
we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, progress, man. I mean, progress is defensible, right?
Yep. Yeah, we know where our weaknesses are. I mean, there's no, I think we're pretty fair with ourselves. And like you said, I think if some other companies that I assessed were where we were at, they would not score themselves as harshly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be happy with what we have, and it's like that's not quite enough for us. So
Right. Yeah. Being a security consulting company, you sort of want to set an example, right?
yep.
Well,
So,
good. I'm happy about that.
yeah, yeah, that was the big one. And then we also had our monthly VTO, so that was really good. It was just 4 hours, 5 hours in the afternoon, and getting just planning and talking and understanding where we're at, which is always good. I was bummed I couldn't make it in for that, but
Mm-hmm.
it worked well. But
What does VTO stand for?
I don't know. Is it Vision Traction
Oh,
Organization?
there you go. There
Right?
you go. Yeah.
That's what's going to get me in trouble. I guarantee you, Renee is going to yell at me for.
Does Renee listen to these?
Yeah, I think she does.
Oh, all right. Well, you're in trouble.
No, no, it was good. It's right. You go through kind of the where we're at, planning for the next segment of time, and prioritizing things, going through issues, and just it's good. It's really good to go through it because it's like I don't want to say a safe space, but it's you know there's definitely some times where there is contention, but at
Sure.
the end of the day, everybody's on the same page, going for the same goal. So it always works out, and hey, they're fun to do.
Good.
Good group. So all right,
Good, man.
yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and
Talk
get
some security stuff, man. For
some.
crying out loud.
So I put this in the notes. All weekend, I had no idea what I was going to write about. I was trying to distract myself with like, painting and landscaping and doing all these things and just had no idea. I don't know if it was, right, like I said, the monotony of the quarantine where we're all just like every day is just kind of blurring together, or all the breaches, like there's just, oh, maybe it's too much going on, or maybe it was just the writer's block. So I sat down last night at about 5 o'clock and was like, I have no idea where this is going to go, but I'll start with news and maybe something will trigger. And luckily it did. So found that article from CSO Online, 6 hard truths security pros must learn to live with. And so overall, I actually thought it was a pretty good article. There was definitely some parts that I did that I was like, no, that's not the right approach. But overall, I
Cool.
thought it was pretty informative.
Let's make sure we talk about those too.
Oh yeah, I definitely was. That's kind of where I was like, yeah, we can. Let's talk that. So I don't know. What did you think of it, just at a high level, before you kind of go through those um, 6 truths?
Um, you know, I guess I did. mm, I didn't really like it, but I think it's good fodder for us to talk about. You know what I mean?
It had some
Um,
good info in it, but yeah,
yeah, I just thought, we've read about so many of these things before. I don't like, well, first off, CSO Online, I think I remember when you just used to be able to go to the website and like get the article, but now you have this stupid
Mm-hmm.
sign in, become an insider today crap. I mean, why did, who thought it'd be a good idea to make all our websites as complicated as possible
Oh, it's
with
all
as
about
many
marketing.
ads and pop-ups and live streaming crap? I mean, it's just, my God. I just want the damn article. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So yeah,
So
I think
beyond that, when I got past that, I was like, okay,
no, I thought it was interesting because a lot of the stuff is things that we've been talking about for 80 episodes of this, right? But it was interesting. I thought it had some good, good points and good data in it. And then there was some stuff that I was like, yeah. So I think we're on the same page. So we'll go through it, just talk about it, and talk some truth. So the first one is that hackers are probably inside your network right now, and it says that there are two types of companies: those that have been hacked and those that have been hacked and don't know it yet. I don't know if you could necessarily say they're probably inside your network, but yeah, I mean, we do see it more often than not. 200 days to identify a breach. That's not
right.
surprising. 70% of CISOs reported they discovered malware on their networks. That's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that data is one thing, but we've used this same statement for years, right?
Yeah.
Hackers are probably inside your network right now, and it gives off this like sense of like fear
Mm-hmm.
when, you know, are they? I mean, just because it takes that long to identify an attack and, all these data points that we have, I still think that our industry just in general sucks at data.
Mm-hmm.
Being what we're supposed to be such a data driven, and I should premise all this. I'm kind of in a pissy attitude today because of our, just some industry things that, I'm reading and going through, but I just, that's one point where it's like hackers are probably inside your network right now. How,
Yeah,
yes, man. I mean, I don't know that. So why would I say that?
it seems a little clickbaity, right? Like,
Right.
oh, like the I I get it, right? Like, we know it takes the 200 days or whatever, and then you found malware. Well, I mean, that would be interesting to read. I didn't click through to see what they define as malware. Is that like, the Ask network or some of these like browser bars that are an annoyance, but not really actually doing anything?
Right. Well, and those are two different data points that represent two different things. So the fact that it takes on average companies an astounding 200 days to identify a security breach doesn't say anything about the likelihood of a data breach
Mm-hmm.
for you or the probability that you've already been breached just because it takes on average 200 days.
Well, and again, and that's the one where we are stuck with that Poneman study, right? That's where it came from, which is a it's the best we have, but is it really, how good is it? How representative is it?
Well, right. So I think the fact that it takes people so long, and I sort of agree that it usually does take people quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the type of breach, obviously. I mean, if it's ransomware, you'll know about it right away. But so I don't debate that it takes people a while, but I still disagree with the fact that, hackers are probably inside your network right now. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't see the correlation.
Well, and what got me on this first one is the what can you do?
Right.
So what can you do is consider deploying threat hunting tools that create honeypots and other advanced techniques. People don't even have asset inventories. They don't have
Right.
the basics, and you're saying, oh, do a honeypot, which has its own huge legal implications. hey, I was just, I read through it and I was like, yeah, I'm okay. We've seen that. And then I got to that. What can you do? And I was like, whoa, no, stop. Please
Right.
don't anyone do a honeypot unless you know exactly what you're doing. That should be like security researchers, and that's about really about it.
Well, right. I mean, if you're missing the basics, who gives a crap about your threat hunting tools and your honeypots, right?
Right.
I mean, the people that are best at securing their environment are the people who know themselves the best. So if I know myself really well, I know my environment really well, I know what my network looks like really well, I know where my applications are, I know the application data flows, I know what's normal baseline traffic, I know what's abnormal. I mean, if you know yourself well,
Yeah.
that's the basics, right? I mean, start there, start researching yourself.
I could say of all the IRs in the last, year and a half or so, maybe one, two that had a solid enough program in place that, and one of them is we're winding down, and they have one of the better programs in terms of like their team, and like usually you work in IR and you can get some combativeness from the IT staff, right? Because you're telling them all the things, you're identifying all these problems, all these holes, or whatever, right? So they're very protective of their work, and these guys are open and wanting to learn more, and just like been really, all things considered, very enjoyable to work with, right? It's
Mhm.
been a very good collaborative thing, and even then they have good. They had the sim. They had, it was separated. Their backups were separated. They were doing all the right things, and they still got ransom. They would be one of the few that would even be maybe ready for more of that threat hunting tool. But yeah, for the most part, people don't have. Yeah, they're not doing the basics. There's no way they could manage a threat hunting tool if uh, and
Right.
it's just a honeypot. I think is sort of, I don't know, reckless, irresponsible.
Well, it's irresponsible if you haven't covered the basics. And if you don't know what the basics are, well, then pick up a book and start learning some
Yep.
things. But, the, so, I mean, what we've gotten so far is the first truth. It says 6 hard truths security pros must learn to live with. And so your first truth, hackers are probably inside your network right now, isn't a truth.
Mm-mm.
Maybe, I don't know. Show me the data. And if you're using the data of 200 days to identify a security breach, that's a different thing.
Yeah. Well, and then the malware versus, right. There's that malware covers such a huge range of things. I don't know if you can validly say, hey, malware covers everything. Like,
Right.
yeah,
So the first truth is wrong. Let's go to the second one.
yeah, yeah. This was, and this, so I didn't like this truth either, or the way it was worded.
I didn't either. So
Uh,
so far we're on the same page.
you can do everything right, and a careless end user can ruin everything. All right, I, like that's just so, I don't know. It's just disrespectful to the users. It's not like, I don't think they're being careless. Right? I don't know many what I would consider careless. Now, maybe they're uninformed. Your training wasn't good. They don't know what they're doing, or they made a mistake. But to call people careless indicates that, I mean, well, they don't care, and I don't think that's true at all.
Right.
They may not know any better, but um, and I like the assumption of you conduct extensive end user training on a regular basis, and no, a lot of companies don't.
Right. You've done
So
everything you can do, and still that dumb user clicks on the
right,
link, right?
I,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we know that, and the numbers in there, I think those look accurate, right? Like Verizon data breach, 32% of all data breaches involve phishing. When they went back and investigated, phishing was present in 78% of cases. Yeah, I don't doubt that. But to blame the end users, I, I don't like that.
Well, and it, I mean, if you take it at its word, right, without reading anything, just trying to be as straightforward as possible, you can do everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And a careless user can ruin everything. That is true, but you're not doing everything right. I guarantee you. Uh, and yeah, users will do what users do. Um,
Yeah, I agree with it, right? In terms of the majority of the incidents come from what we said. It's easier to get through the secretary than the firewall, right? Like it's just human nature. But I don't like how it was. I think this goes to part of the problem in the industry, right? It's the us versus them mentality. It's hey,
True. Yeah, I mean that's the part that I take exception with. The truth is true. It's the way it's stated. I think
yep,
that we should take exception to because um, you're right. That us versus them mentality doesn't help. It's trying to figure out, who these people are, what motivates them, understanding that everybody's going to make mistakes. And if I'm so egotistical to think that I can't make a mistake,
right,
that I can't click on a phishing email, I haven't, but that doesn't mean I can't, right?
right. Or what kills how many times do you hear or have you heard something along the lines of like, well, it was end users, or whatever. It's similar to that thought. And then you start looking into the organization and their everyday account is their domain admin or right. Some of these fundamental things, it's like, well, you're doing that's a bigger risk than some of these other things.
Right. And if you refer to your users kind of this way or imply that they're somehow less smart than you or more careless than you or whatever, they're not going to want to work with you because who wants to
Yeah.
work with an egotist?
Right. Well, it's the we always say never punish on a phishing attack, right? When we do any social engineering, use it as education. Never use it as a right a reason to punish or shame your employees
Mhm.
because you want them bought in. If the more bought in they are to your program, the better your program is going to be. So if you're telling them like, well, you're careless and you're an offender, how is that going to help have them buy in? They're just going to be like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the what you can do on that one, that's not news to anybody, using a third party anti-phishing service, you
Yeah.
know,
And I mean, they are what they are. They still stop maybe 85, 90%, which it helps, but you're still going to have stuff come through.
well, that's why we've always preached from the very beginning that information security is risk management. It's not risk elimination.
Right.
So you're always going to have this. So live with it and learn how to manage it, right?
Yep.
Reduce the risk as much as you can, within, cost and everything else. I mean, you have to
You
run
always,
a business,
right.
but
You always have to weigh the difference or weigh the
right,
cost.
what things do you have in place, security expert person, to detect when something bad happens without the user having to warn you that
Right.
something bad happened. you know Maybe there's some things you can do there, and then what would your response be? You still 70 some odd percent of organizations in the United States still don't have an incident response plan.
Yeah.
So there are some things that you can do. Plan for it.
Yeah.
It's going
Yeah.
to happen, so plan for it.
The odds that you're doing everything right are probably lower than
Well,
they,
you're not, right? I mean, even if I had a security program with all my, years of experience and all this stuff and I was able to start from scratch and got every single thing that I asked for, and I still wouldn't get everything right.
no, you can't. There's just too many variables.
Exactly.
So, all right. So I would say 0 for 2-ish.
Yeah, I'm going to
Agree with
go, You know, if, like I said, if I take it at
Yeah.
just what the statement says, uh, I'll give you credit for that. I just think it's a stupid statement.
Oh, for 1.5. We'll give them half credit.
There you go.
All right. Third one, facing critical staffing and skill shortages. Well, that I
Well,
would.
and that's not even what it says. It says you face.
Well, you face, yes.
Do you? Do we? Do I?
Yeah. I think we keep hearing it as a whole, and this was the first one that I actually thought there. What can you do is pretty good. It's kind of what we're trying to preach and do a little bit more of.
Mhm.
Um, but they're saying the ISC squared uh, global security workforce has reached 4 million jobs. North America, they're saying estimated around 550,000. Uh, so the what can you do is relaxing sometimes rigid requirements that applicants have specific certifications or years of experience. Recruit and train employees from other parts of the company, and cross training uh, is important as well. So integrating the security teams with other groups such as DevOps or networking. So if security becomes part of everyone's job, takes some of the burden off of uh, the designed security professionals. Actually, that's probably not a bad piece of advice, right? Got to start looking outside the box, working with others, getting buy-in across teams, because you can't do it all without their help.
Well, I think a lot of this falls on the hiring. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it falls on the hiring manager and the hiring practices too. We talked about this in the, with me kind of last week on the like marketing piece, going out and buying tools, right? Why would you buy a tool? First, define why, why do I need a person? And what
Mm-hmm.
do I need them specifically to do? So instead of asking for all these credentials and all this stuff that is oftentimes unrealistic, ask for somebody who can do the things that you need done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do what we do, hire for those intangibles.
I think part of it is people are afraid, right? You keep seeing all this, there's a shortage and all that, so they don't want to train somebody up and have them leave, which it just compounds the problem, right? If you train someone and treat them right, then they're gonna stick around, right? Like, our tech services, they're not a lot of there's not a lot of pen testers out there, right? Or in terms of demand to staffing levels. So find good IT technical people, or find people that are good, have that right mentality of, I mean, a lot of it's just the troubleshooting mentality, right? Like you look at things differently, or whatever, hire them and get them trained up. They're, for the most part, we don't have very much turnover. If you treat people right and hire for, like you said, those intangibles for the position, rather than, well, this person has X, Y, and Z certification, you're going to be better off.
Well, I mean, if you train somebody up and then lose them, it's still going to be less costly than hiring somebody with all this experience and, you know, dealing with
Yeah.
the baggage that they bring usually, and then they'll leave anyway because they're
Yeah.
probably not there for your culture. They're probably more there because it's another job where, I can get paid.
Hired gun. Yeah.
So
So,
I don't know. And I hear a lot about this facing critical staffing shortage. And we've seen both sides of the coin on this, all these studies, ISC squared and ISSA and, um, saying we've got these huge shortages of talent, yet I talk to people all the time who can't get a job.
well, I think this is where what can you do is right. Right. There's this talent shortage, or right, lack of people. But the reason is they're like, hey, this isn't, you see it all the time, entry level job that requires 5 years of experience.
Right. But I even got a guy I talked to last week. His name is Jeff Hall. So shout out to Jeff. He's got, a lot of experience in information security, and he can't find a job. I also talked to another guy last week, Quentin, that I met out in San Diego. he's like, I'll do anything. You know what I mean? And he's got experience too. He goes, I'll do, $40,000 a year and just take those triage phone calls and route them to the right place. I mean, whatever it takes. I just need a job.
No. Yeah, I think you're right. It goes to some of the hiring practices where you're filtering through maybe HR that is missing the boat.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I wonder how much of this we shoot ourselves in the foot because we don't even know what we're asking for.
yeah, that's probably pretty true. All right, next one. IoT creates new and unforeseen security problems. Duh. I mean, it's not wrong.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
It was interesting on some of like the Zscaler analysis where they were saying 2,000 pieces of IoT based malware per month in May of 19, and by the end of December of 19, it was up to 14,000 attempts per month. There were some interesting things around that, but yeah. Um, what can you do? Focus on gaining visibility into the existence of unauthorized IoT devices that are already inside the network. Well, if you're doing everything right from above, you should already have that. So I'm not sure where there's our first problem. Putting IoT on a separate network. Yep, that's good. Segmentation, restricting access to the IoT device from external network. Yeah. Changing default credentials. Yeah. Strong passwords if they allow it. And security and firmware updates, which again, you're kind of at the mercy of the IoT vendor, which we've seen a lot of. That's not their top priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, goes back to, inventory management, understanding yourself, I
Yeah.
mean, people can start plugging stuff into your network. You've got this, you know, if you've got unauthorized IoT devices in your network,
The hackers are probably already on your network, Evan.
right? Yeah, and they're your users. They're the people who you're
Yeah.
allowing to just plug stuff into your network.
Right.
So, I mean, and you talk about careless. I mean, who's careless there? Allowing just anybody to plug stuff into my network without any authorization, without any control. I mean, do
Yeah.
I blame the user for that, or do I blame myself?
Well, careless users, they should know better. You've provided extensive training.
A lot of times and I think a lot of times users wouldn't even know.
No, no.
They wouldn't even know that this is an unauthorized IoT device because, and who would expect them to? I don't understand finance and marketing. So unless somebody taught me what it is,
Right.
the same thing with like users, if users are bringing stuff in and you're allowing them to plug stuff into your network, that's just naughty on you.
Yeah, that's a fundamental you should be focused on before worrying about honeypots.
Right. And this is IoT or not, right? So
Yeah.
this is under the banner of IoT creates new and unforeseen security problems. That's a security problem, period. IoT or not, IoT or a laptop or anything else. And I know it's easier said than done, to disable ports or do some type of network access control or port access control or something like that. But I mean,
It's
you got a bigger problem.
which is harder, disabling ports that aren't used and only enabling when they have a valid use, or an instant response, recovering from ransomware, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would rather manage my ports and not have to deal with the incident.
Right. And I know there are new technologies, out there like microsegmentation and things like that, which, can help. But uh, yeah, I mean, I agree with the statement for sure. IoT creates new and
Yeah.
unforeseen security problems, but that's not a new problem. That,
No,
that people are plugging in unauthorized things in the network,
it's
that's
just
not new.
it's new things, not a new problem.
And segmenting the network, that's also not new.
No, oh goodness, no. Yeah, changing the credentials and all that and patching.
Restricting access to your IoT device from external networks, that's not new.
No, those are the fundamentals. They got those right. But
Right.
if you're the yeah, hopefully
Changing
that's not
default
new to
credential,
anyone.
changing default credentials, not new. Requiring, strong passwords, not new. And I agree that these are hard truths, but the thing that it said in the hard truth was IoT creates new and
Mhm.
unforeseen security problems. These aren't new.
Not, yeah, I agree with that. All right, next one. You sometimes feel misunderstood and underappreciated. Well, I mean, yeah, that could go for like literally every employee ever. This is not limited to that, but and security teams face an uphill battle in a key number of key areas. So funding, executive support, business unit cooperation, and employee resistance. Well, I'm going to say three of those four, and the fourth one being funding, are results of the other three. I think a lot of that comes back to the attitude security people have.
Right. Well, and this one. I actually like. I don't necessarily like the truth per se, but I think the author is dead on in what you can do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Oh
it's
yeah.
as a security professional, it's on you. If people are
Mm-hmm.
misunderstanding you, not appreciating you, that's your problem, not theirs. So making that concerted effort to reach out to the business, building bridges, uh, try to be fun for crying out
Yeah.
loud.
Well, I fully agree, and I think that's where I was trying to go. It's the security team. A lot of times, that's not what happens, right? It's the my way or the highway approach, or I know better, so you guess this is what we're going to do, which causes employee resistance, which means business units aren't cooperating, which means that executives are now going to be right. What are they going to hear? Well, security's I can't do this, or we can't do this because of security, right? Instead of being proactive and reaching out and working with the company or with the business, you're a lot of times we're saying they're causing this to happen to themselves.
Right. And it's a two-way street, right? If you go back to the second truth, you can do everything right and a careless user can ruin everything. Does that make them feel misunderstood and underappreciated? So it's a two-way street. if
Mm-hmm.
you if you take your time to understand people, understand the business, and make them feel appreciated, it's crazy how reciprocal that is.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I actually did like this, but I think the key areas and the what can you do were dead on, like you said, and I felt like maybe that truth was a little vague. They could have tightened that up.
Right. And I don't like that one, because that's another buzzwordy thing in the what you can do, but I'm just being nitpicky now. Is security is everyone's responsibility. It's like, everybody has a responsibility in security, but security isn't everyone's responsibility.
Yeah,
That's
I,
nitpicky, but if I'm the CISO, it's my responsibility,
yeah,
right?
that could maybe reword it that everyone has some responsibility for security or something, but it's not. Yeah, I could see where you could kind of get a little. You could have, yeah,
I mean,
but
I'm nitpicking there, but I just, it's
I think the overall message for that what can you do is good,
yeah,
right? Like, hey, reach out, you work together.
right.
All right, last one is stress, anxiety, and burnout come with the territory. Add up all the hard truths listed above, and you get a profession subject to a high level of stress, anxiety, and burnout. I I mean, I can't really argue on that one. Like we see it all the time.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of times we bring this on ourselves, right? Um, Stress is, maybe you're taking things a little too personally. Maybe you don't understand yourself, what your role is. You take on the responsibility of being the risk decision maker when really that's the businesses, right? So if you go
Mm-hmm.
back up to the next one or the previous one, and you understand them and they understand you well, so the others, right? The truths listed above do kind of add to this one. Um, Anxiety. I mean, I don't know what's there to. I mean, I guess I get anxiety, but I
Well,
don't, worst case, there's a breach. You get another job. I mean, or, you have a good incident response and you can defend yourself well,
right.
right? It's not like you're not going to be out of work or anything. Well, unless you're like some of the people that are trying to get jobs right now that can't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I don't know.
burnout's the big one for me, man. But I bring that on myself too. I work too damn much. I don't have to work as hard as I do, but I do.
Yeah. I think I actually like their what can you do? No easy answer, but security practitioners need to open up and talk about stress with their colleagues and make a determined effort to improve work-life balance. I really agree with that. I think there's a lot of um, I don't know, self pride or whatever in terms of maybe not talking about it and just working. But
Mhm.
yeah, you can't do this alone. You need to have somebody to talk to.
Right.
So yeah, I think
We all have our own ways of dealing with that kind of stuff, but I mean that's such an individualized kind of thing, you know.
well, but I mean, even like what you're doing with the daily insanity thing, right? Just being able to be there and make it known that hey, if you need to talk, we're available. Because I don't know if maybe they don't want to make that first effort or they don't know if they can or what. But you do see a lot of it where people just hold it in and just it doesn't usually end well.
Right.
But I thought, yeah, they all really do tie together at the end of the day. Like, right, if you can reach out and work with your end users and your business units and get buy-in from the executive team, and you're probably going to have less stress. Right,
Mhm.
your users are going to be more engaged and have ownership of your program, so you're probably going to have fewer phishing clicks. They're going to know not to plug anything into the network except for what is given to them, right? So I think a lot of it does come down to, you know, the being better at communicating with the business units and becoming a team with them versus an adversary.
Right. Well, and it goes to show too that information security is. I mean, our jobs are like puzzle pieces, right? There's so many pieces that fit together, and
Yeah.
um, you can't rush your understanding of information security. A lot of that stuff comes with experience. It just takes time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be so damn hard on yourself. Just take your time, slow down a little bit. Um, Information security is not going anywhere. Um, Nobody's got all the answers. Nobody's got the silver bullet because it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Well,
but also be skeptical of things. When you hear things like hackers are probably inside your network right now,
and,
ask for some data, ask for some like proof. What are you talking about?
yeah. Well, and I would even say with all that, just focus on your fundamentals, right? If you can get your basics in place and have a really firm grasp on just like we keep talking about, your asset management, your um, identity, and access control. I know those are kind of two different things, but if you can have those basics covered, a lot of this other stuff becomes not nearly as stressful.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of it even, just like even before that, like just roles and responsibilities,
Yeah.
having a candid discussion with the CEO of the company, assuming that that's somebody who hired you, or maybe it's the CIO of the company. And maybe you ask this even before you get hired, who's responsible for what?
Yeah.
Because I like simplifying things. And I think the more you can simplify things, I think that also leads to a lot less stress, a lot less anxiety. So, in the simplest terms, if I was hired as a CISO, I've got two jobs. I've got one, I consult the business on information security risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
My second job is I implement the business's risk decisions to the best of my ability.
Yeah. Yeah. Not make the risk decisions.
No. And so if we start off on the right foot, on the right page with the CIO or the CEO, whoever I'm reporting to, in most cases, unfortunately, it's the CIO. But it's having those candid discussions of who is doing what, who is going to make the risk decisions, who's going to back me up when I implement your risk decisions, because the business won't be happy. Business people maybe in other parts of the organization may not be happy about some of the decisions you make.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just defining those fundamental information security roles and responsibilities right out of the gate. And then you can go on to these other things. And at least I know that I've got that foundation to stand on.
Yeah.
Then you can start getting into more detailed things like asset management. Who's responsible for the asset inventory? Do we have different people responsible for hardware, software, and data asset inventories, or is it a single asset inventory? How do we reconcile the asset inventory? I mean, just all kinds of things, right, around assets. But if we're not clear about who is responsible for it, it will just never get done.
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. That was a good discussion.
It was a good discussion, man. There are always good discussions with you. That's why I dig doing this.
Good. All
Crazy
right.
that we got people that listen in on this stuff, but if nobody listened and I just got to sit here and talk with you for an hour, I dig it, brother.
Anytime.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple news stories. First one is ransomware that attacks you from inside a virtual machine. I thought this was really interesting and slightly terrifying. It's off of Naked Security by Sophos. It is the Ragnar Locker ransomware. So basically, it's a runs within a Windows XP virtual machine. They get it on your network. They download a copy of Oracle VirtualBox, run the Windows XP VM, and run their ransomware inside of it. And what's scary is that basically it bypasses your whatever endpoint protection. If you're not blocking, hypervisor, VirtualBox, or others, then you may not know that this is ever running because it's running in a VM that's sheltered from your host machine's protections.
Right.
So this is where application whitelisting would be the way to go.
49 kilobyte ransomware.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
Simple, man. Right? Simple's best.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, and we haven't seen that yet, knock on wood. But that'd be a tough one to track down, I guess.
Right.
All right. Next one is off of Threat Post. People know reusing passwords is dumb, but still do it.
What happened? Who did what?
Yeah. So more than half of people haven't changed their password in the last year, even after they've heard of it about a data breach in the news. There was a survey called Psychology of Passwords, the online behavior that's putting you at risk. It was, I mean, obviously, I think it was LastPass that did this. So there's that slight, take it with a grain of salt, but honestly, it's really not surprising to see that people are not using strong passwords and don't change them.
Right.
So I did think it was interesting to read kind of some of the statistics around, what are people saying and doing and things like that.
Yeah. And it isn't surprising. People know that reusing passwords is dumb, but still do it. So why?
Yeah. Well, so the one part in there is it said 42% of respondents said they think their accounts aren't valuable enough to be worth a hacker's time. So I think we have a communication and education issue here. Right? They don't think that it's worth it. 60% said they are afraid of forgetting their login information. Right? And 52% said they want to, quote, be in control and know all their passwords. Well, I, I get that goes back to like the education and piece of this and communicating what the risks truly are.
Right. Well, I mean, they're telling us what they're telling us wise, and I wonder how much we listen to it either. You know what I mean? It's so they don't think that they have accounts that hackers would want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that they see that. I wonder if they don't think that their accounts are what they want. You know what I mean? I wonder if there's a personal piece to that. Like, I don't think this account is important enough for me to protect. Is that another way to say that?
I think, well, I don't think they realize what data they may have access to, right? So they don't know how valuable the account is.
Right. Because this is an age-old problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you talk about the psychology of passwords. You know, it's not so much I don't know how much psychology there is here per se, because we're not hitting on the right answer. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the password behaviors have been studied forever, but like, how do you change? How do you change it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that seeing some of the whys, yeah, there's some more that you could dig into, but I think that was that's the first time I've seen some of that info, right? So I think there's now like, okay, what does that mean, right? Why? What is you want to be in control and know all your passwords? Let's understand that, right? So I think may have uncovered other areas that we can now look at and understand why this is, like you said, why it's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, yeah, it's not the be all end all by any means, but I think it's maybe a good first step to understanding that and moving forward,
Yeah.
digging in deeper. All right. Next one, InfoSecurity Magazine. North Dakota's contact tracing app sends user data to third parties. And when you, I don't know if you're going to have a lot of buy-in, and we need to have contact tracing when these things happen. So Jumbo Privacy said that the app, Care19 app, was sending user data with Foursquare and other third-party services. That's not good.
And anything for the name, anything in the name of money, right?
Yeah.
Who ever thought that that would be a good idea? I guess somebody within Proud Crowd LLC.
Yeah, and Foursquare confirmed that they receive it, but they promptly discard the information and don't use it for anything.
Oh, of course they do.
But let's just, even if we take them at their word and say, okay, that's true, why are they even getting it? How is this set up in a way like this is not going to, we're not going to get good buy-in for contact tracing if this is what's happening. It's privacy issue. It's just not.
Well, it's just, it's going to be, there's going to be so many instances of this, because the only way that this would ever work is if you could actually trust people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust a company called Proud Crowd. I mean, just by the name of their company, I'm like, I don't know if I want,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And the government, I mean, when did we start trusting them with data, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to have to be some sort of an open source, fully vetted solution. And it's going to be a while. And it's just going to suck.
Right. And I'm not going to rip on North Dakota because, we have friends there, but
Oh,
this probably should have been vetted before we went into production.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, and we don't know, right, what their process was, and right,
Right.
they're saying that it's not being sent anywhere, and then they do it beyond outside of the contract. Yeah,
Right.
we'll see. That I just thought that was unfortunate.
It's super unfortunate.
So, all right, and the last one was off of threat post again. Clever phishing attack bypasses MFA to nab Microsoft O365 credentials. So, not great, but basically, they're it's kind of like the man, like not the time attack, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
it was interesting. It's the OAuth and OIDC and just about a little bit more technical in terms of you know how this happens. It's not new, but I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I think a lesson from this is MFA doesn't mean you can relax and assume you're safe. Still got
Right.
to be aware and vigilant.
Right. All it means is you have two factors, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the two factors both need to be protected, right? If you expose both factors, well, then your two-factor or multi-factor authentication is useless, right?
And yeah,
So,
we've had IRs where people clicked the notification on their phone.
right,
I mean, users will, it's a, they were logging in and it kept popping up. They didn't know. They're like, why is this not whatever? MFA is not foolproof.
right. So in this particular attack, uh, yeah. Anyway, a lot of these attacks I've seen, where you you convince the user to change settings or give certain permissions
Mm-hmm.
to applications once they've already been authenticated, and then you can, usually use that as a way in. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you get this false sense of security, like, well, I've got multi-factor authentication, so I'm good. There's always, I mean, you're just never good, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if good means you're never going to be compromised, you're never going to be breached, you're never going to be good, right? So define a different good. A different good might be, yeah, one of my accounts or multiple, many of my accounts might become compromised. What would I do?
yeah,
Instead of panicking and being like, oh my God, my accounts are gone. Do you have any kind of a personal incident response plan? Do you have anything to deal with it when it does happen? Because then you live a much like less stressful life.
yeah,
I'm not looking for silver bullets because I know they don't exist. So I live with risk.
yeah. It's weird. Planning ahead and being prepared is takes a lot of the stress away. Weird.
Right.
So yeah. All right. Well, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Episode 81 is a wrap. Evan, any shout outs?
I do. I have one shout out for Shelly Grove. Just a great person who's on our daily insanity check-ins, fairly often, works up in northern Minnesota. Um, yeah, in our mentor program, just busting her tail to make a difference. So,
Yeah. I think mine would be the non-security people at FRSecure that are going through the mentor program and have made it through this far already.
wow.
But we've got multiple of our sales team and like Renee, our COO, and it's tough for even for people that are security focused. So shout out to them for toughing it out. And we got what 3 classes left. So
That's cool.
all right, huge thanks
Who's
to
teaching on
our
Wednesday? Is that me?
yeah, yes, tomorrow, yes.
Crap. What am I teaching? Is there another class left of like
Yeah,
course?
there's one class left of material, and then I think maybe a half a class next Monday, and then we'll do practice tests.
So I actually have to teach then. That's what you're saying.
Hmm.
Mm.
We'll have to figure out the practice tests because I am not doing those alone again. That was so stressful. I was like, my palms were all sweaty on his questions. I was like,
Oh, well.
yeah, it's putting yourself out there. So.
Yeah.
All right. Huge thank you to our listeners. Keep the questions and feedback coming. Send us things by email at unsecurity@protonmail.com. And if you're the social type, socialize with us on Twitter. I'm at Brad Nye, and Evan is at Evan Francine. And you can also follow Security Studio as at Studio Security and FRSecure at FRSecure for more goodies. That's it, and talk to everyone next week.
All right. Have a good week.